Charles, let me ask you a very plain question. Are you hopeful about Africa and the future of Africa?
I am very hopeful, but time is running out. Why? I'm very hopeful because the continent of Africa, through what we have just done in 22 years, is ready for what I call genuine solutions that lead to lasting transformation. Many politicians will find it very difficult to work with a young person who votes for them because they have given the impression to the voter and the young person that I take care of you. And please, if you have any challenges, hand them over to me. And they have been frustrated. We have been able to tell people that the future of a human being does not lie in the hands of another one. And that short verse in the Bible, Proverbs 23:7, which says, as man thinketh in his heart, so is he, is always the signature entry point for our transforming the people that we meet. And almost without exception, every audience who have interacted with and given them that kind of a message, and then given the kind of examples and testimonies they have seen within their own environments, they begin to say, oh no, for long we have been walking in a dark spot. Somebody has been misdirecting us, telling us that, please wait for me, wait for me. The short statement is so powerful. As man thinketh in his heart, so is he. No other qualifications of saying, you are thinking, but you must be having a father. He says, it doesn't matter, you could be an orphan. You are thinking, but you must be having a degree. It doesn't really matter, you could be totally uneducated. What's your thinking? Can it be transformed? Yes. Are there examples? Yes. So that's why I'm very hopeful about the continent of Africa. It is now the ability to convey this message across the continent in that clear, unvarnished manner that makes the difference.
I'm listening to you and I'm asking myself, how many Africans are as optimistic as you are? And so I'm trying to understand what is the basis of your optimism. Because everybody seems to be complaining. Either they are blaming governments and what have you. And so sitting here, somebody is saying, well, Ocici, you can talk like that because you are wearing a nice tie, you have a nice suit, and as you said, you've been in this for 22 years. And has it all been rosy? And as you answer that question, Charles, to what extent do you see the world has changed? And if it indeed has changed, how do you interpret that changes that is sweeping across the continent? And what does that mean to the man or the young person or the business leader, the entrepreneur who is in the informal sector that you are saying, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And therefore can be as hopeful as you are as an African seated here. Because as you know, for many people, we are just a dark continent. So to what extent has the changes taking place in this world affected us and what does it mean to us? And how does that help in the optimism that you have as you speak?
Emmanuel, you have asked very interesting questions and I don't want to miss any of them.
Wonderful.
So I'm going to pick
one by one.
And if I've forgotten something,
sure,
please remind me. Let me just start by, again, what I can cite as an example to just tell us that we are seated at an opportunity as Africa.
Right.
Today, this is the continent that is having its citizens seeking to cross waters, board planes, sell their land to go to overseas countries outside the continent,
sure,
to get a living there. And many have sacrificed their lives to try and achieve that.
Right.
Your post is interesting. You see people from Southeast Asia coming to this continent with basically nothing but their bodies and their minds and say, we are going to a continent where you do not need a lot of resources to begin and to scale. And indeed, within a very short time, you discover that somebody from Southeast Asia comes to Uganda, goes to East Africa, give him 2 years. He has moved from some rural setting and he has gone to a regional city. From a regional city, he has gone to the capital city. From a capital city, he's serving the entire country. And all he will tell you is, it took him just the courage to get started. There are not many opportunities like those in the Western world. The Western world, you can go in there, you can think, you can try and get started. The limitations are too many. Most opportunities have been tapped into. And tapped into on a big scale. So to break through there, very hard. The barrier of entry in Africa is great. And once you have gotten started, the opportunity to serve a population that can consume with what you have started with, they are not yet too sophisticated. The population is big. So that's your population to start off from. But from there, you can go to a more sophisticated population, and then you can begin to export. So just that scenario where you are seeing the reverse. Others are entering to Africa with no capital, the way we know it. And Africans are selling capital and selling land to go to the other side to become laborers. Tells a story about the continent of Africa. And all we need to do is to just rethink about the continent of Africa and begin to see what those fellows from Southeastern Asia come here to do. They have no language, no contacts, no knowledge. Even their religion is different, but they come to this continent and they say, this is a paradise. Now, your next question was that, really, is this something that has happened? The stories of over 180,000 customers of Enterprise Uganda speak to the validity of this assertion. We've had individuals who were in internally displaced camps because of the wars in Uganda. And then they lost education, they lost parents, both mom and dad. And then the war ends and the person is told, go back to your original land. And the fellow has only his energy plus a bushland. But they come for this training, that changes the mindset. The young man moves from a person who was lamenting about lack of education, loss of parents, to today earning no less than, in a year, $500,000. He's 31 years. And he has bought land of his own over 600 acres. He is planting acreages in excess of 100 acres for soya beans. A person starting with just his own energy to dig a fish pond and start selling and then go into other enterprises. These stories illustrate on the viability of the continent to give everyone a standing chance to take off. The only thing is we need to refocus on changing the mindset of our people. It is not by accident that that verse was put in the book of Proverbs. Yes.